Hi, everyone. Welcome to Thanks for Sharing. I'm your host, Jackie Pack, and I have on the podcast today with me Tal Prince. Welcome, Tal.
Hey, glad to be here.
And Tal is a licensed therapist. He's also a CSAT. And Tal and I met, God, it's got to be 11 years ago, maybe. Did we start 12 Principles in 2014? Was it?
I think so. Yeah, it had to be
I
right.
think. And I've talked before on the podcast about 12 Principles. It was a 3 year learning, personal growth kind of thing that Dr. Patrick Carnes offered. We met quarterly in Arizona for a weekend, a long weekend, and he would introduce things and send us home with homework. And we were in big groups and small groups and just got to know the different people there. And that's how I got to know Tal. And then Tal became a therapist and a CSAT. So now I see him at CSAT things. So I'm glad to have Tal on the podcast. And you may be seeing, if you're watching this on YouTube with the video, Tal and his wife, Teresa, are both therapists and own
Mhm.
Insights Counseling Center in Alabama.
Yeah.
And so if you're in that area and you're looking for a CSAT, then you would contact Tal or Teresa at Insights Counseling Center and they can get you scheduled. Anything else you would add to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, our we have a team of therapists. Everybody is either a CSAT or a certified partner trauma therapist or APSATs
Mhm.
trained partner specialists, and so we have a real team approach to what we do. We cover the whole family. We've got therapists that see children and adolescents of couples that are going through all of this. We take a real kind of holistic family approach to it and a real team. So we work as a treatment team, which is really
Mhm.
fascinating. It helps uncover things a lot faster. My wife is a certified Gottman therapist as well, so she's really our couples ninja. She's just
Mm.
great at that. She and I both see the couples. She's really great. That is her lane, man. She's
Mm.
really good at it. So
Nice. Yeah.
we enjoy what we do. We've got people that come from everywhere. It's wild, and we do intensives. If you wanted to book a weekend intensive, you can do that. We have a lot of people come from around the country to do that,
Hmm.
and so you can just go hit our website, Insight, but plural, Insights, and then cc.com. We'd be happy to talk with you.
Nice. So last month, Tal made a Facebook post on his Insights Counseling Center page. And that's what got me to reach out and invite him on the podcast to talk about this. It was the day after the Kiss Cam social media scandal went viral with the Coldplay couple, is what they've been dubbed. And you had made a post that was very insightful and compassionate, which was different than I think a lot of people who were jumping on the bandwagon, making memes and songs and whatever they were doing.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and as unfortunately sometimes our society can do, that they can jump on things and miss, or oftentimes miss, the individuals who are devastated and negatively impacted personally by what's going on. So I wanted to start out and read your post, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Okay. It says, you've probably seen the clip by now. Astronomer CEO at the Coldplay concert, caught on camera with a woman who's not his wife. The crowd cheers, the internet explodes, and the memes start flying. But here's the moment that haunts me: the split second they saw themselves on that big screen. Because in that instant, that man was forced to face the irrevocable reality. This isn't a secret anymore. In one flash of light and pixels, he was plunged into the crucible. Not just public exposure, but private reckoning. And you know what's not in the viral clip? The drive home. That silent, sickening drive. The pit in the stomach, the scramble in the head trying to figure out, what can I say? How can I spin this? How do I survive this? The moment he walks in the door and sees his wife, her eyes swollen from crying, the pain, the devastation, the knowing there is no one doing this. Here's the brutal truth: when your secret goes viral, the exhausting work of hiding is over, and you stand in the crucible, where all the lies, all the pretending, all of the false self gets burned away. And what's left? The man you really are, the damage you really did, and the consequences you cannot outrun. But hear me on this. This is also where recovery can begin. Not in the spin, not in the cover up, not in the PR playbook, but in the raw, scorched earth moment when you stop running and let the truth break over you like a wave. You can come out of the crucible tempered, not torched, but only if you face it. I know because I've been there and I can help you find the way out. Yeah, I just thought, when I read that, I thought, I want to have a discussion about that because I think that's something that's getting missed in all of the hype and all of the trending and people weighing in. And we're missing that piece, that reckoning that lies ahead, the pain, having to face the pain that you've caused, the consequences of the fallout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought about and how it all played out, right? Like his wife finds out on her social media feed as the thing's going viral, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just insane.
Hopefully,
like,
my hope was she got a text from a friend.
Right?
Who saw
like
it and
that
was
would be
like, hey, don't go on.
Shut everything off. Yeah.
Yes. And it was delivered by a compassionate friend.
Yeah, and I that would be wonderful, and probably she got posts, thousands of posts from total strangers,
Mm-hmm.
all thinking like most in these positions, right? Telling them what they would do, though they have no idea what they would do. So she's finding out the worst way possible, and I'm thinking, like, how does this guy drive home knowing this is everywhere?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in that place where you're found out, and it is such a dark place, such a difficult place that I couldn't help but just spend a lot of time thinking through that drive home,
Mm-hmm.
and just reaching for the doorknob, right, to go into the house like that. It may sound odd to some, but people who've been on the betraying side of the equation, boy, it takes a lot of courage to turn that knob.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of courage to walk in and face what you can only imagine.
Right.
And to walk in and to see her, what's that conversation? That's the moment. That's where the choice is going to get made, right? Like, do you turn into this, or do you continue to try and run from this?
Right. Yeah.
Do you spin it? Do you own it? Such a dramatic choice. And, I mean, you can try and spin it, and it's a ridiculous choice. So, I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
choice is so obvious, except when it's you.
Right. Right. Except when you're on the drive home.
Oh, and walking in, like everything in you still wants to hide, because inside of every addict is a person hiding.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is, do I continue to do what I have always done? Or do I try something different, which is rigorous honesty? That seems stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the only choice to make.
Mm-hmm.
And still, many of us many of us will turn and go back to the well-worn path.
Right. You'll try.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can go all the way back. Look, we've done this for years, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
decades, centuries. You can say, I did not have sex with that woman. You can say that.
Mm-hmm.
You can hold on, man, and you can parse words, and you can, well, it depends on what the meaning of the word is. You can play all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the right answer is honesty, and it makes no sense.
Right. Right. And for the partner, they're not going to mince words.
No.
Like the semantics of all of this is irrelevant to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not an answer there, right? Like there's no way to spin that, and you saw all of the videos afterwards where people were like, man, had they not even reacted, it wouldn't be a thing. I'm like, yeah, it would. yeah, it would. This is one of those things I ask guys all of the time. In fact, my youngest daughter and I were at a concert last week in New Orleans, and we're just talking to the security guard, waiting for the doors to open, and the inevitable happens. What do you do for a living? Well, I'm a therapist. So now you're in for a deep conversation, because this is not going to be surface anymore. And so he starts asking, well, what type of therapy? So I tell him. So now we're in the deep end of the pool, and so he says, well, so let me ask you, like, let's just say that there is a woman here at work that I mean, she's much older than me, but I find her very attractive. Is it wrong if I just am having a lot of conversation with her? Right? And he said, is that cheating? And my first response was, well, you're asking me the question, so it's a question in your head, which means you know the answer, and you're just hoping I tell you you're wrong. And then, so he started laughing, and then I said, so let me put it this way, though. Would you be comfortable with your wife knowing every word of the conversation, the content of those conversations? And would you be absolutely the same if your wife were standing right there while you were talking with this woman? And he said, oh, no way. And I'm like, then it's cheating. That's how you know.
Right.
Now, you could spin that a million different ways, but no partner is going to believe that, right? Because they know there's just that gut knowing.
Yeah.
And there's just no way they're not going to dive in and drill down. And plus, so now you got to tell otherwise.
Plus, they would also be picking up on body language. If the spouse of that security guard is standing there, they're picking up on body language that they used to be on the receiving end of, but it's been a long time. And so they know what that is.
Oh yeah. They know he's playing. They know he is all the way in the game, right? And they see that, they pick up on it, they know. And there's just such energy in the secret.
Yeah, it's a life of its own.
If that ever became a topic, she would know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so this CEO, he goes home. There would be no way he could spin that, because his body language would tell on him, his face would tell on him, the quiver in his voice would tell on him. I don't care how great a liar you are. When you are that nailed,
right,
there's nowhere to go but to be straight honest.
Yeah. I mean, he was also facing the potential loss of his job, which did happen.
Everything.
Like everything was gone in that moment.
He's got 2 sons, and I wonder what's the relationship there? What do they think of dad? Did they know, because that's not uncommon at all. That, the guys involve their kids in their acting out, and I'm not calling the man a sex addict, but a lot of people involve their children in their deception.
Or the kids stumble upon a phone call or see a text message, and then they're brought in.
Often unwittingly. They don't know they're being used as a foil for the deception. They don't know. But I wonder what's the relationship there like. There's just so much in that. That conversation, I think I would say on a surface, I would love to have heard the conversation, and then on the other side, I think you and I can both pretty well script it.
Right. We've heard those conversations.
We know how that went. Yeah, we know how it went. It was not great.
Right.
But he resigned quickly. And so signs that he's owning things. And then there was the false apologies that appeared online that he did not write. And so now in the
Mm-hmm.
digital age, you've got so many people, adding to the story, adding facts to
Mm-hmm.
the story that no one knows if they're true or not. And we saw his apology that it wasn't his, and the company came out and said not him, he did not write that, all the things. The other thing I thought was fascinating in the video is as soon as they are aware, they do not turn toward each other, they turn away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just scramble like roaches in the light, right?
Right, right,
Just such a radical turn, which lets you know this is not about intimacy. this
right,
this
right.
is all intensity. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so just the discovery just destroyed everything, and they just completely left each other in the moment. And then there was the messy friend that was to her, right, who knew everything. It was so clear
Yep.
on her face that she knew, like, oh crap, they are so busted.
Mm-hmm.
And she worked there too, and had just been promoted as well in the HR department. I'm like, it's not gonna go well.
Right, right.
It got dark really fast.
Yes, yeah.
So just a brutal situation, and I think we haven't really heard anything credible come from her. Or
Right.
I haven't seen anything. I've seen lots of, this is from the wife, I'm like, we have no
Mm-hmm.
way of knowing that.
Right.
And,
I think the only thing
um,
that has been known about the wife is that she removed her last name from all of her social media pages,
yeah,
making it a little bit more difficult to find her, hopefully.
yeah. And I think a lot of people read that as ooh, she's divorcing him, she dropped her last name. I'm like,
Oh,
no, that was to find anonymity.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
so people can't find me because I don't need all of this.
Right.
Uh, and I think, boy, what an
Especially on top of
awful,
trying to make that decision of what are my next
right?
steps.
Such an awful thing, right? Because all
Hmm.
these strangers going, here's what I would do. You have no idea
Right.
until it's you. You don't know what you would do.
Hmm.
And it's so brutal to her to
Right.
have to now deal with the judgment of a global citizenry who all
Hmm.
think they know what they would do.
Hmm.
And man, you have no way of knowing until it's you and walking those difficult steps.
Hmm.
Because you don't just shut that off. They've been married for a long time. You just
Right.
can't automatically shut that off. And we don't know what the history is here. We don't know
Hmm.
whether there are other affairs that she knew about, and all of the things. There's just so many factors we don't know, and
Right.
nobody knows, but
Right.
everybody knows what they would do, right? Cruel to her.
Usually, people who are not facing that circumstance typically say, oh, I would leave. I would leave in a heartbeat.
Straight.
And that
Yep.
is not typically what people do,
No.
not right away. They
Mm-mm.
might eventually get there if there's not some real work put in and some real accountability that the person is
Mm-hmm.
facing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, yeah, they might end up leaving. But that's
Yeah.
after some time spent trying to
Yeah.
see what is recoverable, if anything is recoverable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there contrition? Is
Hmm.
there, sincerity there? Is the work being done? Is this person capable of demonstrating any empathy?
Hmm.
Can they own and take responsibility? Can they stand there and own their horrific decisions, show contrition, true remorse, commitment to do the work? There's so much there. And some of these relationships, and as long as you've been doing this, you've seen, like, I never cease to be amazed at some of the depths couples can come back from
Hmm.
and just thrive, just be great.
Right.
That's so exciting to watch, and it never gets old. And I'm like, look, you can come back from anything if you both want to, and you're both willing to do the work, and you're both willing to demonstrate to the other that you're doing the work.
Hmm.
Early stage, we tell everybody it's going to be about 80-20. It's 80% on the betrayer, but the betrayed still has about 20% of the work to do.
Yeah.
You got to be in. Maybe that 20% is listening, but you can't not do anything. You can't sit and go like, well, y'all fixed that one, and maybe I'll give it a thought. It's got to be both. But when they both turn in, man, it can be something else. It's so exciting. It's great. It's great work.
Yeah. I will often tell couples, relationships don't happen in a vacuum. And what your partner does impacts you, what you do impacts your partner. All of this is happening in tandem with each other and impacts both of the people. And that's going to be the same with recovery. And so you have to, for the betrayed, you have to get in and work with a professional so that you understand this process. You can understand what change will look like, when you can start to trust what he's saying, or all of those things. You have to be part of this as well, because this is not happening in a vacuum.
Right. It's just not there. There's so much here. Right. And we tell them too, like, you're both going to have to do this work, whether you stay together or not.
Right. Or you will be better for doing the work, whether you stay together or not.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's only going to make things better for you as an individual, and then hopefully maybe for the coupleship. It can be great, but the work has to be done regardless. Like very often, I don't know, we get a lot of betrayed partners who are initially not wanting to engage any work. I shouldn't have to do anything, but I didn't do anything. I shouldn't. And I'm like, yeah. He drove the family van into a horrific accident. And I get that you got thrown out of the van. You're bloodied and broken and beaten up. Right. And they'll always say, yes, I hurt so bad. It's terrible. I'm like, right. So you have to go to the hospital too. Yeah. He drove the van into the accident.
Yes. And maybe he walks away with some bruises while you are broken. I will say too, he cannot do your physical therapy.
That's right. It's great.
He can drive you there. He can sit there and see the exercises you're required to do and support you at home while you do that. But if he's the one doing your physical therapy, you won't get better. Yeah.
And, very often, to carry that further, very often, and I'll say, like, he took a left into oncoming traffic, and it was the passenger side that got hammered. And there was a lot going on in him. There's a lot of wounds there. They're just not on the surface. And he's got to go do a truckload of work on that, especially if there's addiction involved. If we're at that level, then there's an awful lot of trauma driving that bus. There's an awful lot of pain and hurt back there. And he's going to have to do that work, right? Or she. But a betraying partner has a lot of work to do as well. One, they have the weird position of having to do repair work and their own healing work all at the same time early. And so that's why we say it's going to be about 80% of the work's going to be on you. That's just the cover charge right now. That's just what it is. So if you're willing to turn in and engage it, man, it's great. We can help you. We can get you there, right? Like we know the way. If you're working with a CSAT, man, we know how to help you.
Right.
If you'll cooperate, if you'll surrender and do the work, we know how to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it does offer some hope in a moment of a lot of desperation and a lot of uncertainty. To say there is a way. People get through this. People come out on the other side better, stronger in their relationships and individually. You are facing some pretty dark things.
Yeah.
Some very dark moments.
Yeah. These next months are going to be really hard. There's, you're going to have a lot of highs and lows, and more lows than highs, but you're going to have them.
Yep.
And it's gonna feel like a whipsaw for a while. There's gonna be hope, and then you're gonna be mad at yourself for allowing hope to arrive and allowing yourself to entertain it for a moment. You're probably gonna be mad at yourself for that,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna remind yourself of that when they inevitably slip up, and do something stupid, say the wrong thing, or all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, man, can you keep moving forward? You gotta heal regardless
Mm-hmm.
of who caused the accident. The healing is still on you to do.
Yeah.
They can
Yeah.
they can fund it, but only you can do it.
Right. And I will tell them too that it's going to take some time because of the complexity of the work that's being
Mm.
done and
Mm-hmm.
on multiple layers that this work has to be done for you to be able to both come out knowing yourself inside and out,
Mm-hmm.
knowing your partner inside and out, and having
Mm-hmm.
built real intimacy.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so amazing when you can get to that, right? Not just this case, but any of the sex addicts that we deal with, that we know are addicts, when we're dealing with that, we know they have an intimacy disorder. They
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to do it. And so they just sexualize that concept. So if we're having sex, we're good. If we're not, we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I just interpret sex as love and intimacy, and that's my only frame of reference for that.
Right.
And so if I'm not getting that in my primary relationship, well, now I don't have any intimacy. Instead of turning into and learning how to do that, and going through the layers of, like, well, okay, let's maybe get some actual truth established in a relationship, and let's see if we can get safety going, and then let's
Mm-hmm.
see if we can start to trust each other. And we use trust as not just fidelity, but do we have a two-person system that we're building, that I know, and my partner knows, that I've got their back in public and in private, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to show up for them in ways no one else could, should, or would. If we're doing that, we can trust each other. And then we
Right.
move to vulnerability, which is access. What parts of me am I willing to give you access to? And then when I know that I trust you, and I've been vulnerable with you, and you've not hurt me with that, then I can open up and give you access to all of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where intimacy lives, right? Like, that's a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
What I know when there's any couple that there's affairs, whether or not there's addiction involved, is you ain't got that.
Right. Yep. And you may
And we
not
can
fully
teach you.
know it, but your gut knows it.
Your gut knows it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Your brain may
no,
not, but
yeah,
you feel it.
yeah. And so you drop into a fair land, because fair land is fantasy land. A
Mm-hmm.
conversation never happens in an affair. No one's having budget conversations,
Right.
and no one's talking about how to discipline the kids. No one's
Mm-hmm.
having the gritty conversations in an affair. That's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just buy into this illusion that, oh, this is so great. This is so much better. Well, no, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
not having any real conversation, man. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
so synthetic and so fake.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, it's just so easy to start an affair.
Yeah.
It's
And accessible.
just, oh, it's so easy,
Yeah.
because it's just fantasy land. Who doesn't want to go there every once in a
Mm-hmm.
while?
Well, and I think for our clients, sex addicts, but I think
Mm-hmm.
larger, this is the societal messaging that we give to men starting at very, very young little boy
Oh.
ages
Mm-hmm.
is that they get anger and they get sexual desire. And the
Yep.
other emotions are women. And also, you don't want to be a woman. It's the worst insult is to be a girl.
Yep. Yep.
And it's not like, I will also say, it's not like we respect women for having access to all the other emotions and are like, wow, we should really listen to them because
Mm-mm.
they have this emotional intelligence. No, we roll our eyes. We say, you're so dramatic, you're hysterical, all of that type
It's
of stuff,
weakness.
right? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shocked at the amount of, or the lack of depth with a lot of men, because they
Hmm.
haven't let themselves be vulnerable with themselves. They
Right.
might feel it. They might have a thought run through their head or emotion run through their gut, and they're like, oh no, go away, suppress,
Hmm.
get rid of that. That is weakness. That is dangerous to me. And so they
Hmm.
are living at the surface,
Oh yeah.
and they can run companies at the surface,
Yep.
but
Hmm.
they can't go into the vulnerability of who they are, even with their partner, even with their
Mm-mm.
kids.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That is
Because they
avoided.
can't do it with themselves. They
Right.
won't.
Yeah, it's hidden from the self as well.
Yeah, which is why I love Dr. Karin's work in Recovery Zone 2 and
Mm-hmm.
cultivating that inner observer. It's chapter 2 in Recovery Zone 2 is all about cultivating that inner observer. When I teach that, I have everybody go watch The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and because he just dissociates all the time. If you've not
Mm-hmm.
seen the film, highly recommend it. Go watch it, and you'll see. Ben Stiller is Walter Mitty, and he just dissociates. He fantasizes because his own life is so mundane and excruciating, and he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have experience, and he doesn't allow himself any of that. He's small. He lives really small, and he has these grand fantasies, and that usually involves at some point impressing a woman, and all of the things. But until he genuinely starts encountering that and have to challenge that and start actually living, it's such an amazing turn in that movie. And so I use that with a lot of, I have my groups watch it. And they always lock in with that moment of taking the leap into
Mm-hmm.
real life. And so we're talking about, so in our case, it's not jumping out of a helicopter into the sea. It is jumping into silence. Can you sit and get all the way quiet and deal with you for 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm asking, is 2 minutes.
Right.
And I'll have them start to talk about how uncomfortable that was. Like they are so uncomfortable with themselves, because all the feelings that have been trying to come out and be dealt with in that silence all start coming, and they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to deal with that. And so that drives so much sex addiction, is we're just trying to distract ourselves, and we need intensity to do it, because
Right.
intimacy makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
No sense at all.
Right.
And I know because I lived that for a very, very long time. And it's a terrible place. To turn in and deal with the pain and the emotion, that seems stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, it goes
you
against
can
all of the
everything.
conditioning.
Yeah, you're so right. And I tell a lot of people, I speak in a lot of different venues, and so I'll start talking about how men are not emotional and not attuned with their
Mm-hmm.
emotions, and most of the women get very happy and excited and smug and superior. Then I go, and it's your fault, like because you watch a mom of two kids go to a playground and watch a mom of a boy and a girl. Watch what
Mm-hmm.
happens when a girl falls down and gets hurt. She's going to pick her up and hold her and rock
Mm-hmm.
her and caress her hair and say, oh, that mean old rock jumped up and hurt you. All of the things, and just let her cry it out. Oh, you just cried, darling. It is all right. You watch what happens when her son does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to say, okay, come on, hop up, shake it off. You're all right. Come on.
Yep, you're tough.
You're tough. And man, we just take that in
Yeah.
and believe toughness is the opposite of vulnerable and the opposite of emotion, and is so toxic and detrimental. Just stunts us, which is why, when guys get upset, they typically are far more childish,
Mm-hmm.
because we revert back to that age.
Mm-hmm. And when the emotions are really unexplored. Because
It's
again,
overwhelming.
in that example, we are telling boys, you don't need closeness.
No.
We are telling women, we are literally telling these little girls, tend and befriend. And that is part of
Mm,
your survival.
mm,
You
mm-hmm.
turn into relationships and you rally your girlfriends or you rally
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yep.
that's what your safety is connected to.
Yep.
And with boys, it is you are on your own because you're
Yep.
so strong and you're so tough
Mm-hmm.
and you don't need
Yep.
closeness. And then they develop intimacy disorders, which
Right.
is all
And
about
so,
closeness.
yeah. So take a look at this CEO when the light hits.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how old you think he felt, right?
Right. When he ducked,
When
as
he
though
ducked,
as though he could
that's
hide and not be seen anymore.
that is not the move of an emotionally mature adult male,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not the move. That is the move of a 6-year-old boy
Mm-hmm.
who has been caught. Like it's that.
Yeah.
It's such a different thing. It's just we do just a ton of work around this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
just okay. Well, I went to rehab. I sat in rehab my first day, and they said, "So, Tal, how are you feeling?" And I said, "Good." And they said, "That's not an emotion." That was news to me.
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, um, fine." And and they were like, "No, not an emotion." And where I was in rehab, on every wall in the room was the same cartoon emoji chart that's in every children's
Mm-hmm.
hospital emergency room.
Right.
And they said, "Well, so Tal, would you like to look at the faces on the wall and see if you can identify how you're feeling?" So I'm looking at the wall and I'm like, that one. So I didn't even say the word. Like I was like, "No, I'm not saying it out loud, man. That's weakness." So that one. And they said, "Okay, well, would you like to read the feeling word attached to that face?" And I said, "Can I change it to pissed? I don't see one for pissed."
Pissed has got to be an emotion, right?
Yeah, come on, rage. Where's that? I need that. So I said, oh, it was so sad. It was just so sad because I had no earthly idea. I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't.
Yeah.
And that's such an amazing moment when you start to do that and start to allow yourself that. Have you seen the How We Feel app?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we have
Man,
several clients who use it.
oh, I make all of my clients get on it.
Mm-hmm.
And just look, man, check in with yourself at least twice a day.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and then they come back with this. Can you have two different emotions at the same time?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, you can. This is the complexity of human beings.
yeah, yeah. And they're like, "Wow, that's so amazing." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Watch. So let's talk about how do you feel right now about coming to therapy?" Now, early, that's usually anger. I'm
Hmm.
like, "Okay, so think about having to take a break from work and come in here. How you feel?
Yeah.
Angry. Okay,
Which is
good.
one of the two
Now,
emotions we give them. So, of course.
yep. So now let's flip. Now let's think about your favorite sports team. How do you feel now?" And they're like, excited. Okay, great. See, now, so depending upon what you're thinking about, your emotions can change just that fast.
Hmm.
And they're stupefied by this. They are
Yeah.
just, oh, wow. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty wild. And then to teach them, like, okay, if your feelings are on the more darker side of the spectrum, it just points to you have needs that aren't being met.
Hmm.
So they're your GPS headings. So how could you get that need met in a healthy way? What do you need? So when they start to decode how emotions work,
Hmm.
and I always tell them, look, the emotional part of your brain is popping an eighth of a second faster than the rest of your brain.
Hmm.
That's like a 12-mile head start in a marathon. You can tell me all day you don't want to talk about emotions. Emotions are driving your bus, whether you like it or not. You might
Right.
want to get to know the driver
Mm-hmm.
because the
And
driver is determining.
our gut, I wouldn't say all emotions tend to be more accurate because again, they can get skewed and they can be
Yeah.
inaccurate, but
Hmm.
they are typically more accurate
Hmm.
than what we're thinking or what is in
Yep.
our awareness.
Yeah. We tell them all the time, your feelings are real. It doesn't always make them true,
Right.
but they're still real, and you got to deal.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do emotions, they're gonna do you
Mm-hmm.
every time.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So we have a lot of fun with that. It's fun to watch them start to get in touch with emotion, and I would love to see. I would just love to like. It's easy to hate a guy who gets nailed so publicly, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that guy. Like, I so want him in my office, right? Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, I would so love to work with you. Because I know the address, and I
Yeah.
know how fatal this feels.
Yes. Yep.
Because it's all the stuff, right? Now, okay, I've lost my CEO job. I'm probably never going to get another one. Just all the fatal thinking. I've probably lost my
Mm-hmm.
family. I've lost.
Mm-hmm. It literally
Uh,
feels like the world is against you.
yeah, yeah. And if you look online, they are.
Right. Right.
Because there's very few people posting, oh, hey, look, man, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there were probably factors that led to these choices. No one's given him that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just, oh, what a terrible, awful person. So if
Mm-hmm.
shame drives the cycle, and it does, and so we sit here and go, well, if people find out who I really am and what I've been and what I've done and what runs through my head, they would not stay in the same zip code with me. Well, that's now proven true.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or it seems to be.
Yeah.
Most of the world will move on from this and not give
Yeah.
it more thought, right?
News
And they
cycle
will
turns
be,
fast.
yep, yep. And so it does matter. Your friends. Do you have
Mm-hmm.
friends? A lot of men struggle
Mm-hmm.
with real friends.
Yep.
That's who's going to be there for you. That's who's willing to see the real you and support the work that
Mm-hmm.
you're doing. And if you don't have those friends or those friends fall off the bandwagon as well, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
meet friends. You will meet friends in recovery, real
Yep.
friends.
Real friends who get it, understand, are not judgmental, all of the
Mm-hmm.
things. And it can
Mm-hmm.
be such a beautiful place. It's just a place that nobody, until they need it, wants to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because you don't know it's real. You don't know it's even possible. You just don't see that as a category.
Mm-hmm.
And so you continue to gamble your very life and all of the things. It's the highest stakes gamble
Mm-hmm.
you can ever make.
Yeah.
All of you risk your reputation, your career, your family, your home. Everything is on the line when you're doing this. But you just get in that limbic system that says nothing bad happened 14 seconds ago, man. We're golden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so there are no consequences in 15-second increments.
Right.
But I come back to. I'm a big U2 fan, and so there's a line in a U2 song that says every gambler knows that to lose is what they're really there for.
Mm. Yeah.
You just know. There's that voice in the back that says you're gonna get nailed. And when you do, there's your moment.
Right.
Which way are you gonna turn?
Yeah. Because that's the opportunity to figure out who you really are.
Yeah.
That's what recovery offers, is the opportunity for you to know who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not this person that got caught in the kiss cam or wherever they got caught, right? It's not that person. It's not that person that was discovered. The secret life is not who they really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the person who continued to gamble to hide from the reality, and that's what they were gambling. Then they find out actually what looked like loss is how I won.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I had to turn into this. I got to a point where I got thrown into the crucible. Here's the irrevocable reality. And so do I want to let this crucible burn away all the stuff about me that I don't even want and never actually enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
And
But
to
that was
find out,
constructed, it was
yeah,
constructed to protect yourself from
mm-hmm,
you. No, it was to protect yourself from the pain that you hold.
right. And so can I go through the crucible, go through the intense heat, and have that tempered and have the dross rise to the surface and be scraped away and be left with the gold, right? That's the
Mm-hmm.
win.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just a process that most will not choose until they have to.
Right. Yeah. And part of that goes back to the messaging
Mm-hmm.
that's not there. This is who they are. This is like this person who doesn't need people. I'm thinking of a client that I have, and we've worked together for a while. I would say
Yeah.
at this point, he's now aware of his loneliness twice a year,
Mm.
which he used to not be aware of that at all.
Yeah.
So that is the progress we've made.
Yeah.
I try to
That's
convince
great,
him
though.
that the loneliness is there every day. And he
Mm-hmm.
side eyes me and is like, I don't think so.
Nah. I think you're overstating that, Jackie.
Right.
That seems a little strong.
Yeah.
And
And I do point to the fact that when it comes up twice a year, it's pretty intense. So to me, that's evidence that it's there, maybe not as intensely every day.
mm-hmm.
He's
Mm-hmm.
not buying off on that yet.
Maybe, but progress
Right.
is coming. It's coming. You know what that same song by U2 has a line. It's toward the end. It's, are we ready to be swept off our feet and stop chasing every breaking wave?
Mm.
That's where this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and a lot of us get to that place. It is like, okay, you have absolutely been upended. Do you want to chase another wave? Or do you want to fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you maybe want to get out of the tumultuous sea?
Right.
You know, you are in that moment and you have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I love it when people make the choice before,
Sure.
and they just usually won't.
Mm-hmm.
It's rare, sadly.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I get somebody going like, I'm just sick of this. Okay, great. But usually it's, well, you probably saw this in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah. You know, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a guy I've been working with for 3.5 years now. And he has just been playing for probably 3 of the years.
Mm.
And he caught himself in session last week. He caught himself. This has been happening. He'll catch himself. He'll reveal something to me and it'll be like, holy crap. Apparently, I'm starting to trust you because I've never told anyone that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so he's starting to accelerate that process. You know, because for the longest he came in and was like, I haven't had any affairs. I haven't done anything. My wife's nuts, but I'm here
Mm-hmm.
because she thinks, you know, you'll help me, but I don't need any help. I haven't done anything. Like, she's crazy. And finally now he's coming around to be like, okay, so,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, like, I know, dude, like I've known the whole time. Like,
Right.
and I know there's something driving this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're a horrible person.
Right.
You know, I know there's a thing driving this. I think horrible things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And man, we could talk about that stuff. Like I told him this last week. I'm like, I know you've had a truckload of affairs. Like, that's not yeah, I know. What I don't know and what I'm more interested in is what got you here. Why don't you trust anybody? Like, that's the stuff. Who hurt
Mm-hmm.
you? What,
Yeah.
who taught you that people are not trustworthy? Like, where did that come from? But he's still at the point where he's like, I don't see how that makes any sense. I'm like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love it when they'll confide in you with the story, right? And a
Yeah.
couple weeks later or a month or so later, you send it back in with some insight connected to a concept you've been talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, no. They're looking at you like, why would you do that with that story? That story just goes nowhere. It's just a story, right? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. We are
I will
not
get
yet.
I will often get the, oh, hey, look, man, don't hit me with the woo woo. Don't hit me with that.
Yeah.
And then after a couple weeks, after it marinates, they'll come back and they'll be like, okay, so I see how that was true. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's keep going.
Yes.
You just act nonplussed, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because they just don't feel safe, have never felt safe anywhere. And so it's this great paradox of we're saying, hey, tell us your deepest and darkest things that you have hid from everybody from as long as you can remember.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense.
Right.
It's the way out, and we can tell them that all day, but until they have gotten to a place where they allow themselves to open up to the possibility of trust,
Mm-hmm.
and the possibility of granting us access to that one thing,
Right.
then it's all meaningless until they get there.
Yeah. I tell my sex addict clients in the first session, if not the first, the second, look, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I know you're not going to give me all the honest answers. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not offended by that. You don't know me. You don't trust me. Of course, you're not going to tell me all those things.
Right.
And so let's just agree you get a pass. If at any time something comes up that you feel I should know, because that would benefit you to have me know
Mm-hmm.
that, you can
Mm-hmm.
just say, hey, using the free pass.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me this, I said this, the answer is actually this. And usually they aren't that direct. They'll say, I don't know if I ever told you.
Yeah.
And that's usually how I know something I've asked. Actually, here comes the truth now.
Right.
And you just
That's
roll
the
with
thing.
it. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. We're just, I tell them, I'm very similar, because I tell them all early, hey, so listen, I know you have lived a life of lies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you have the disease known as addiction, you just lie.
Yeah.
And I tell them this story. In rehab, we played a game every time a new patient came in. And the game was, what's the dumbest thing you lied about?
Mm.
Okay. I would often win because I would say the weather. And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So I worked in an office tower for a long time. I did corporate work for a long time. If somebody said, is it raining out? I couldn't say I don't know. Because my fear was, if I don't know, they'll think I'm stupid. They won't like me. They'll reject me and see me as useless. So I can't have that. So I have to have an answer. So I had thought through. The right answer is no. You say no to that, because if they look out and the streets are wet, it could have just started. If I say yes and they look out and the streets are wet, or the streets are dry, they know I lied. So like I had thought through the thing, right? And so there's this beautiful moment. It's usually between week 3 and 4 in rehab, where guys will start telling on themselves. We'll tell a story and then we'll stop and go like, okay, wait a minute. Can I restate that? Because I just exaggerated my role in that. I just tried to make myself look better. Let me retell that. Or, hey, I don't know, why I just said that right there. That was not true. Can I go back and correct that? That's such a magical moment.
Right.
And if you want to see it real time, you want to watch it happen, go watch on Netflix the David Letterman interview with a comedian named John Mulaney.
Oh.
It's fascinating because John is an incredible addict, and so he's been in and out of rehab. But in this interview, they go back to where he went to high school,
Mm.
and they're in the auditorium, and Letterman asks him, "When you were here, did you ever think one day you would be playing like the Hollywood Bowl in front of 7,000-8,000 people?" And John quickly says, "No, I never thought that." The conversation goes on, and then John stops it a little bit later and says, "Hey, can we go back? Would you re-ask that question again? Because I did not give an honest answer. I lied." And they kept it in. They didn't edit that out. And so then David asks him again, and he said, "Yeah, I thought that." And but that was so much harder of an answer to give because it makes you look like you're an arrogant weasel. But the right answer is, "No, I never thought such a thing." You know, that's more acceptable on the surface, as opposed to, "No, I was super confident in my ability to be funny. And yeah, I thought one day I could maybe do that." So, but he, you know, it's such a beautiful moment to watch him stop the interview, ask the director and producer, "Hey, can we go back? I did not give an honest answer." There was such risk involved in that.
Right.
You know, the risk to be human. It's just such a gorgeous moment.
Yeah. So a couple thoughts I'm having about that. Number one, I think of course he had a dream as a high school. That is some of the beauty of high school.
Right.
Your life is ahead of you, and you can only imagine how great it's going to be. So, of course, in high school, he thought he could do that. Of course. And I love that about high school kids. You know, I don't want to be the one to stomp on their dreams and be like, "Hey, that is a lot harder than it seems. You go.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I will be behind you cheering." The one thing I will be like is when they're like, "Oh, 30, that's so old." I'm like, no, it's actually not. And I'm way past 30.
Be really careful with that.
No. Like, let's not go there.
Careful. Yeah.
But the other thought.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say.
No. Go.
I think that is part of what got the public talking about this. And you see it from time to time with different stories. There is such a lack of accountability and honesty in our world that when somebody is caught in a lie, that's what goes viral, right? And I think it's really speaking to how difficult it is to be like, "Hey, can we back up? Can we rewind? Ask me that question again, because I wasn't honest."
Yeah.
And those things are refreshing and usually learned in recovery, by the way. Or in some type of therapy process to understand yourself better. But I think it is exhausting to live in a world of lies and not accountability, irresponsibility.
Yep. And keep the lie alive, right? Like that's how it goes. But man, when you get somebody who goes like, "Hey, wait a minute, that was not honest. Can I start over? Can I say that again? Or can I just own this thing?" You know, and that's honestly in that moment, back to the video, in that moment, that was the option.
Yeah.
You know,
and on the drive home, that was the option. As crazy as that seemed, to be honest and accountable, that is the option.
You know, did he go in and go like, "It's not what it looked like"? You know, all the things, right? Like you're thinking through, how do you spin this? What plausible explanation can I possibly come up with? You know, all of those things, you know, or will I be honest? Because in the honesty, there's hope.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but with my clients, they didn't go in honest. They might have gotten there by 2:00 in the morning. They might have gotten there. But they went in with a story, with a spin, and with defensiveness.
Yeah, for a lot of hours, honesty comes right around the polygraph.
Yes,
it's just like, I'm going to try and hold on to this. And, you know, because I have similar conversations. You know, I had a client, they came in, and you know, one of them's an alcoholic, you know, and so they'd been in therapy, their prior therapist had fired them, and I was just like, "Okay, well, so, you know, how long were you in therapy?" You know, 2 years. I'm like, "Would you say the marriage got better stayed the same or got worse. And they were both like, nah, somewhere between got worse and stayed the same. And so I was like, well, my experience is that if you've been in couples therapy for 2 years and the marriage stayed the same or got worse, it's usually because one of you is holding secrets. So which one of you is it?
Right. Yeah.
And it was this like, holy cow moment, right? And one of them's eyes popped, and I said, "Uh-oh, my money's on you." And so I'm like, "Well, why'd y'all start going to therapy?" And he told me because of my wife found some secrets, and so I'm like, "Well, so do you have any of that now?" And he's like, "No, no." And so I give him the whole speech. Like, listen, I've sat on this couch. I'm telling you, man, right now, I'm your best friend. You can say at any point, "Hey, I'm totally lying. I'm into this stuff. I'm totally lying," and I'll be like, "I got you. I'm not gonna be mad at you. I'm not gonna be, how dare you lie to me?" Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Everything in your brain right now is lie, 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 right? So I'm gonna be your best friend. I'm in your corner. I promise. And he just continued to try and hold the lie for like another 30 minutes. And I just kept pushing. And then finally the spouse goes, "Can we just cut the crap?" And started reaching for evidence. And I I put a hand up like, hold on. And I looked at the one and I go, uh-oh. Unless I miss my bet, the evidence is about to start to come out.
You will be nailed to the wall here.
It's going to be so much more excruciating.
Yeah.
If you wait for the evidence. Anything you want to say, and I was to remind you, I'm in your corner. Anything you want to say. And just hell, I want to see what evidence they think they have. Okay, then. And I mean, then bang, bang, bang. It all starts coming out. And then the person finally goes, "Okay, I haven't stopped." See, man, like, it hurts so much worse.
Yeah.
Than if you had just said, "Yeah, still going on."
Yeah.
But honesty just makes no sense to the brain of an addict. It is just the antithesis of intelligence. It's so bizarre, man. It's so hard. We will hold on forever and force ourselves into that crucible moment where there is no choice. We almost require that. And so now you have to face the irrevocable reality. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can run, but I'm right here. I got you. I get you, and I've got you. I know how to do this.
Right.
I've walked it. I've done it. I know it. You don't have to stay here. But if you run from this, it's only going to get worse.
Right.
And you're going to take another lap around this track and dig it a little bit deeper the next time. What do you want to do? But boy, honesty is a tough cover charge, man, when you've lied your whole life.
and been successful at lying many times. To get to this point, you have been successful at your lies.
Been rewarded for them.
Yeah. Yep.
So how can you tell me I'm wrong? Do you see all of this?
Yeah.
Look at the scoreboard here. How can you tell me what I've been doing is wrong?
Right.
Well, because you feel like crap inside. If you allow yourself to go there, it's terrible, right? Like, you've just been waiting for people to find out it's all been a ruse, and you're hoping they don't, but they're gonna. Because every gambler knows that to lose is the reason you're really here.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do?
Because to lose starts a different process.
It concludes that game.
Yeah.
All right, this game is concluded. Do you want to play a different one?
Yeah.
This is the choice we're offering you. Like, it's so much better. Things you never thought possible are absolutely possible and commonplace. You've just never been exposed to it.
Right.
So much fun watching men in group.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great when they're like, I never knew this was possible. I'm like, yeah, it's wild.
Uh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. To form
every,
those connections
oh,
and yeah, to see the individuals come alive.
hmm
Initially, sometimes guys into the group who were new, scared to
yep,
death, right?
yep,
And
yeah.
the years ago, I was talking with some of the men in the one of the groups that I facilitate,
hmm
and I was talking about an ending ritual. Like, what do we want to do to end a group? I
Yeah.
think they were like, why don't you do a breathing exercise or something? Lead us in that. And I was like, okay. And so every round of group that I started, I would say, what's our ending, right? And eventually one of the guys said, I think we need to end with hugs.
Mm.
And the guys in the group were like, yeah, yeah. And I was like a big group hug. And they were like, no,
Nope.
one-on-one hugs with everybody. And I'm like, okay. And I said, just need to be clear. Am I included? Am I not included? I don't want to make anything awkward, right?
Right.
And they were like, yeah, you got to be included. I was
hmm
like, okay, okay. So
hmm
this is like my therapist is like, "Rah, rah, rah," like
Right.
this is weird. I don't hug clients. But it just became that is the ending ritual. And so new
Yeah.
guys are in and they're like, okay, we hug at the end of group. So
hmm
bring it in. We do one-on-one hugs with everybody in the room. Bring it in. And
hmm
the look on their face is like deer in the
Oh.
headlights. Like,
hmm
what? And they're like, we know you need it. We know you need it.
hmm
Bring it in.
hmm
And I'm like, that is pretty amazing because I
Yeah.
know where these guys were when they started.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see, you just watch the development. Like I have group tonight, and I have a new person coming to group tonight. And so every new person that comes to group is basically having their Coldplay kiss cam moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they're terrified and they want to duck and hide.
Right?
And they're going to hear from two or three guys that describe their kiss cam moment, what got them in the group, why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to be given an option. Do you want to do the same? You don't have to, but do you want to share a little bit about what got you here?
Mm-hmm.
I've never had anybody say no in the years I've been doing group. I've never had one person go no. And I make sure that they understand, like, it's
Mm-hmm.
totally optional. No one's going
Right.
to think a thing about you if you say no.
Right.
You're totally safe. You're totally fine saying, no, I'm not open to that right now. Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever said no. I think they just want that moment, because they've just seen three guys do it and nobody go like, what a freak. It just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh. Like I can't tell you how many times those guys will come back in individual therapy and point to that moment being a turning point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's just an amazing thing.
Well, and I
So,
think it's so contrary to the beginning discovery or
mm,
exposure to
mm-hmm,
know that the secret is to be known
yeah,
because being known did not feel good right now. And being known one on one with your spouse when they've discovered something does not feel good.
nope.
But that's being known for all the facades and the layers of performance that are covering you. And at the
Mm-hmm,
end of all of that, we want to be known and
mm-hmm,
accepted and loved and all of that stuff.
mm-hmm,
That is
yeah.
at the core of everybody.
Mm-hmm. And for the longest, we've chosen intensity over intimacy
Mm-hmm.
because that seems safer.
Mm-hmm.
And how I say it to guys in group all the time is like, there is a canyon between getting laid and getting loved. Those are different
Oh yeah.
addresses.
Yes.
I mean, okay, so you're great at getting laid. Let's be honest. It's not that difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not like you deserve a trophy. It's not hard. But getting loved, that's a different thing. But that's what you wanted, which is why this has never paid off.
Yeah. I'm working on an episode talking about, I want to title it like, but is it good sex? Because I hear so much, you probably
Yeah.
do too, from male sex addicts or female sex addicts.
Yep.
But the sex is great. But the sex is great. And I'm always like, is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Like, and they try to convince me, and I'm like, there is a difference when you know you are loved and you know you are known and you're being sexual with that person versus
Totally
all
different.
the walls are up and you're having sex with a person.
Yeah. Well, and it just comes back to, for me, that is it intense? Yeah. But is it intimate? No.
Right. But they don't even know that they're missing that. They don't even know.
They don't know the benefits. They don't know it's a thing. That is a false concept. And so it takes a lot of education. My wife and I are both sex therapists too, because it's kind of like the missing piece in sex addiction work. Because there's so many people trained in helping you stop, but then not how to replace that with healthy sex, or to build or to learn healthy sex for the first time ever. And so, we were like, well, let's go do that. So we got certifications in sex therapy, and that's been a real game changer in our practice, just to be able to, like, well, because if you don't replace it, this is going to come back.
Right.
So it's not enough to be like, hey, well, we stopped the addict sex.
Yes.
And really you're just having it with each other, and that's still not great. Right.
Yeah. Well, and if you're going to really take them through this transformative process, that has to be part of their growth and their learning.
Right.
That has to be.
Yeah. Because if they see, oh my gosh, like that sex sucked, that was not great.
Yeah.
Compared to this. But if we don't teach them healthy sex, positive, great, intimate, healthy, sacred, spiritual sex, it's just like, boy, the other sex was better though. And you're going to have a hard time convincing them otherwise. So that is a real missing piece, I think, in our world. A lot of CSATs, but they can't go into the healthy sex realm and teach that. And so the couple is left with, well, the other sex was better, than the betrayed partner is feeling compared, and then they're battling that in their head. And it's just awful.
Yeah.
Right. And so then they start to have sexual difficulty, and they stop, and they're not having a lot of sex because of the comparison and all the dysfunction in it. And then the sex addict is now on the verge of relapse. It's a mess.
Or they've swung too far and they're just sexually anorexic. I've had those clients come in who have worked with other therapists, and they come in and they're like, I haven't had sex in 5 years. And I'm like, oh, that's why.
We should probably address that.
Right. And they're coming in proud, right? And they're like, well, I'm in recovery. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like recovery.
No, that's abstinence.
Yeah. That's sobriety, maybe, but okay.
And so we talk about that as well, okay, so that's being in control in a very out of control way.
Right.
That's gonna bite you. Right? Like there's gonna be a bender. There's gonna be a binge. There's gonna be, you're just building up the tension there. But they do see that as just like, I haven't had sex in 5 years. And they see that as like, are you looking for me to pat you on the back?
Like it's a badge.
Sad.
Yeah.
It's a tough little place, right?
Yes.
Because they go from the 90-day abstinence contract and screaming bloody murder about that. And a lot of mine trying to convince me, I don't think my wife's going to go for that. I'm like, yeah, she's going to love it, actually. But then they go from 90 days to like, if we don't get them back on a track, for healthy sex, then this becomes the norm and the standard, and they just mutilate that into, oh, well, okay, so now I feel good about not having any sex. And I'm like, oof, that's not gonna be great.
Right. Yeah. Which I find interesting because you did say some CSATs don't go there.
Mm.
In my training, it just was obvious that you had to offer
Yeah.
them that was a hole there, and that if you couldn't help them as a therapist feel that, I don't know, it was just obvious to me that you
Yeah.
had to do that. I don't know how it is obvious to all therapists, but
I,
I mean, there's different therapists. Let's just
yeah.
say that.
And I did, yeah. And I think there's a lot that just for whatever reason don't really use the model.
Yes. Yeah.
And, you know, they've got their credential, they use the
Hmm.
assessments, but it kind of stops there.
Yeah.
And I think that's sad
Yeah.
because it's such a great model and so
Uh-huh.
effective.
And
Um,
evidence based. Whatever
yeah,
they're doing is not evidence based.
yeah. You know, they're just kind of feeling their way, or you know, just having a weekly conversation or bi-weekly conversation. That's not helping.
Hmm.
You know, the model is great.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so proven, it's so evidence based, it's so helpful. I know because I've walked it myself, and you know, and so I know how it's helped me, and so I'm far more passionate about making sure, you know, my clients are in it,
Hmm.
because I just know it's going to help them.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's tough. It's tough. So yeah, it's fun work though.
Yeah. It is fun work
I love it. I
too.
love
I do too.
it. So who knows what'll happen for this couple? You know, I I sure want to find out. And I kind of hope they keep their privacy, right? Like
Yeah.
it's,
Right. Yeah.
you know, I'm like, hey, good for you.
Yeah.
And
Right.
part of me really wants to know.
Yeah. As the therapist brain in 6 months, we're like, I wonder where they're at right now,
Yeah,
how they're
yeah,
doing. Wish them the best, right? But yes, I hope they keep their privacy
yeah.
and start to.
Hope they're with people who
Mhm.
understand and are specialists in at least in infidelity,
Right.
you know, and because she's
Hmm.
got betrayal trauma, whether it's addiction or not, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
so just one's all it takes for that, man.
Hmm.
And so are they with people who get it, understand, and can put safety around them and guardrails around them, and
Yeah.
you know, and help them get to the decision as to what's the right move for them.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Tal, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your thoughts on this. I really appreciate the conversation and having you on.
Oh, it's so great to talk with you. It's so I appreciate the invite so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Anytime I see something on your post, I might reach out. But if you have something that you haven't posted that you're like, hey, let's talk about this, hit me up.
I will do so.
Okay,
I will
sounds
do
good.
so. Thanks so
Awesome.
much.
Hey, everyone. So I just finished the episode with Tal Prince and wanted to add my thoughts at the end. I've been doing that lately with guests who come on the podcast and share their thoughts, share their wisdom, which I really appreciated Tal and the way he showed up with his genuineness, his authenticity, his experience, and his hope for the people who are doing this work and the people who would benefit from doing this work. I hope you enjoyed that discussion as much as I did. If you are not subscribed to the channels, you can watch the video on our YouTube channel, Healing Paths Recovery. You can follow our social media pages, which are typically also Healing Paths Inc. or Healing Paths. You'll see videos of me, so that's how you'll know that it's me. Please subscribe if you want to be aware of when it's coming out. Please subscribe, follow, comment. I'm starting to get some comments over on YouTube, which I'm happy about. They're not all great comments. I got a comment last week saying sex addiction sounds great. I respond to the comments and I try to be thoughtful in my response. If I can be witty, I'll try to be witty, but I tend to put some thought into my response as well. But I would appreciate it if you subscribe, head on over to YouTube, head over to the iTunes podcast leave a comment, leave a review. Those really help the algorithm, help my content get out there more. And I really appreciate it. At the end of this episode, as always, I want to remind you that your story matters. Remember, there's something meaningful in every chapter. Don't wait to share your story until it's finished. Until next time, Jackie.